Okay, let's talk about Unit 2. Unit 2 is basically talks about the residents that live in long-term care facilities. We're going to start this out by talking about stereotypes of people in nursing homes. Now, if I ask you, what is old to you? What age is old to you? Some of you may say 65, some may say 80, some may say 90, some may say 100, some may say 50, which I don't like very much because I'm 53 and that makes me feel old. But I'm here to tell you that age is literally just a number. Um, told you I worked with neurosurgeons who operated back and spine, or brain and spine. And I had the privilege of knowing a gentleman who had back surgery who was 105 years old and was so excited about going back to running marathons. So, age is literally just a number. Um, we age differently. Um, you may have a 105-year-old running marathons or a 90-year-old who's very self-sufficient still. Um, who do you think, or what age do you think would be the youngest person you would see in a nursing home? Well, we tend not to put people under the age of 16 in adult care facilities. Under 16, usually they're in child homes, right? They're not in adult care facilities. I always say my CNA instructor must have had a heck of a sense of humor because my first resident was literally a 16-year-old boy who was quadriplegic. He was paralyzed from the neck down. He had a trachea, he had a suprapubic catheter, and he was mad at the world. And that was my first resident. He was a challenge for sure. Now, you're going to see people who are different ages at different qualities of health, right? People needing different levels of care. You may have a 20-year-old who has had a traumatic brain injury and has a self care deficit from a car accident. You may have a 30-year-old who's had a stroke and she has hemiplegia. She's paralyzed on one side of the body. One of the first residents I took care of was actually one of my sister's classmates. My sister is uh, 17 years older than I am, and her classmate had multiple sclerosis. And I can remember she had a really hard time at first letting me care for her because she used to help babysit me when I was little. And she would be so upset because she'd be like, I used to change your diapers. I used to feed you. You know, it's not right that you're having to do this for me. And I finally just looked at her and I said, who better? I owe you one. And then she was a little better with it, but it was a real big issue for her. So you are going to find people at varying ages in nursing homes at varying ages of skills, right? Now, the second stereotype is that old people would live in nursing homes. Well, I'm glad to say that only 4.5% live in adult care facilities. Um, our our book is from 2003, and the percentage of people over the age of 65 at that point was 12%. In 2016, that was up to 16%. And I'm sure that probably went up with the last census too, because we're seeing an increase in our elderly population. That being said, only 4.5% of the people live in long term care facilities. Now, the next misconception or stereotype is that they are a useless part of society. Now, elderly people are a generation, this is a tough generation. This is a generation that has lived through world wars, depression, recession, Dust Bowl. These are people who have knowledge that we need to tap into. they've lived through things hopefully we never have to experience. We call this the greatest generation because they have so much knowledge, and we really need to tap into that. One of the best things about going to clinical is that you're going to get to meet these people and hear their stories. So I really encourage you to do that. One of the coolest things I saw was that at farmers markets pre-COVID, they would actually have at Delano farmers market, they actually have something called the Blue Bench. And the Blue Bench is where volunteers from nursing homes come and sit on the bench, and people can come and ask them questions. And it's pretty cool that we're really tapping into their knowledge. So this is not a useless generation. Now, they're all, another stereotype is that they're all confused. I'm telling you guys, these guys are not confused. Not all of them. It is a fact that 50% of the population will develop some form of dementia. However, at this point, you can never assume that people have dementia when they're old, right? These people are lawyers, doctors, pathophysiologists. They are, nurses, and they're very teachers, instructors, and they're very intelligent. And it is not guaranteed that everybody is going to have loss of memory, right? Yes, our thought process does slow down as we age. However, if you have problems remembering when you're young, you're going to have problems remembering when you're old. It's just you, right? My mother always says, you better use it or you'll lose it. So she likes to read a lot. She's 88, and she likes to read a lot because she feels like if she uses her mind, she'll keep it longer, right? So don't assume that everybody has dementia. Another stereotype is that all old people are poor, right? It's just like any other situation, any other age. You have people who are poor, and you have people who are not poor. Now you have to realize this generation is very tough. This generation lived through the World Wars and the Depression and the Dust Bowl, so they know what it is to be hurting. And so they save better, right? They might live like they have no money, but a lot of times they have money stashed. I tell the story of my mother who a couple years ago, she was worried about paying her taxes. And then we found out that she had an IRA that she's never drawn on. And her reasoning for not using that IRA or drawing on it was, I might need it someday. At that point, she was 85 years old, and we're like, Mom, you save this money, you spend it, right? And so a lot of times this generation has put money back, but doesn't want to spend it. This becomes a problem because how much do you think it costs to live in a nursing home? In the city of Wichita, it costs $7,000 to $10,000 a month to live in a nursing home. Now, how many insurances do you think pay for nursing homes? Now, okay, Medicare. Medicare has something called skilled bed. They will pay for 100 days in a nursing home, right? But you have to be hospitalized first, right? And you have to qualify that you need that skilled bed. We have Medicaid. Medicaid will pay for nursing homes, but you cannot have anything. You cannot have a 401k. You have little savings. You cannot have property. You cannot own a business. You cannot have any of this stuff because if you have this stuff, the state thinks you can pay for your bill. So they do not give you Medicaid. And it's not like you can sign all your stuff over and then the next day get Medicaid. It's not like that. What you have to realize is they have to go a few months before they can get it after getting rid of liquidating all their stuff. right? One of the saddest days I had is I was sitting in the nursing home and the son had this information. He's like, Dad, just sign it. Just sign it. And the dad's like, but that's my money. And the son goes, I know, Dad. I know, Dad. It will always be your money. It's just going to be under my name. We're just trying to get you help. And the dad's like, I put that money away before you were even born. I started saving that money. And the son's like, I know, Dad. It's still your money. But we can't get you any help if you don't sign it over. He goes, that is my money. And this went on for 30 minutes. And I could see both sides. But by the end of it, I just wanted to slap the son and say, not today, sir. Right? But the fact of the matter is, the son was looking at it as if they didn't get it out of his name, the nursing home was basically going to take it for his stuff and he'd have no money. Right? But the dad had worked 50 years to put that money away. Sad, huh? But that's the way it is. Now, not very many private insurances have nursing home benefits. Usually you can get a supplement program to help pay with the nursing home, but they don't pay everything. And it's very expensive. Usually you start paying it and then it ends up where you can't afford the premiums by the time you need the care, right? So we see a variation in financial things. Let's see, what else? They're miserable all the time. The elderly are miserable all the time. No, I challenge you. Did you ever think about this generation? This generation was told to sit down and shut up and don't speak unless you're spoken to. So I challenge you that if you see a grumpy old person or you're in the nursing home at clinicals or working there and somebody looks grumpy, tell them good morning or good afternoon. It's like this light switch flips on and you just give them permission to talk, right? So I really challenge you to not live by these stereotypes. You're going to meet some amazing people, and if you take the chance to talk to them, you will be a better person. All right. We'll see you next video.